can be a employee for Microsoft, Google, or Adobe or any such company. So right now, let's start preparing ourselves. I want you all to start jotting these points down because they are very helpful. Not just to me, it has been a tremendous help to a lot of folks whom I've mentored beforehand. And most of them are already placed in, most of them are in Microsoft, I'll be very honest. And a lot of them are in other FANG companies as well. So first thing that I want you all to do is to create the ABC of our placement readiness, which is resume. So resume has to be two different types. We have to have two different types of resume. First one would be the one which we would present to any interviewer while we are in an interview. And second one would be the one which we are going to upload to any of the careers website. What will be the difference between the two? The one that we are going to upload on the careers website has to be ATS compliant. It has to have a very, very good ATS score. How do you do that? There is this website called overleaf.com. You need to log in there. You need to select a very good template suiting the content that you have to put on your resume. Not everybody has equal amount of content. Some people have done a lot of programming, competitive programming. They have been a good, hackathon champ, or they have got really accolades and good achievements going on. Others are the folks which have got some good amount of projects to mention. Third type of people are those we have got some really good open source contributions going on, or we've got some really good credentials and some really good, scores at our college level itself. So every person has a different type of content to put on their CV or resume. And while creating a resume, make sure that you need to pick the template suiting to the content you have. Do not pick a template which has got a really large section in the project area, whereas you just have 3 or 4 projects to mention. If you have like a good 6, 7 projects to mention, then go for that one. That is one. Now, second thing that you need to make sure is what you definitely need to include while preparing a ATS compliant resume. The resume which we are going to upload on the careers website. We have to make sure that since we are a recent graduate, we have to have a CGPA. We have to have a 10th and 12th percentage. It helps a person or a recruiter to understand that what has been the learning capacity and adaptability of this student when it comes to, transitioning from one phase to other and being able to learn and adapt quickly to the work being done, which is very, very important. If you miss out on these, it creates a sort of discrepancy for the hiring manager, which is not required, which is not what we are intending towards. Second thing is that you need to make sure that you have to mention all the soft skills as well as all the technical skills or hard skills that you have honed. Now, the issue is that people mention 10 different technical skills. Out of 10, they might just know 1 or 2 well. I mentioned C++, Java, Python, C, SQL, everything, but then I have only worked on C++ extensively. So do not commit this mistake. Only write what you know by heart, because the issue is that for us or for any hiring manager of any company, it is very easy to break that dilemma that whether this person is good with all these languages or not. We just have one question fixed per programming language that can easily break the mirror whether you know it or you don't know it. That is second. Third thing is that never mention about your competency level. So you must have seen or you must have come across a lot of resumes wherein people write, let's say, Java, and then they write, familiar, or they write experienced, or they write, I'm proficient in this language. There is also this dot bar that they've filled. Do not do this. This is something which we are proclaiming for ourselves, and it is not desired when we are sitting in an interview. In an interview, we are there to give a test of our knowledge, not to proclaim that we know this already. So gives a bit of negative hands-on. So don't do that. Third is that please make sure that on your resume, you have at least of 3 or more than 3 projects. So may I quickly know what all branches you all are from? Just let me know a couple of branches so that I can let you know what sort of resume you have to create exactly.
Electronics and Communication Engineering.
Computer Science Engineering.
Great. We have IT folks as well?
Yes, ma'am. IT as well as software engineering.
Oh, that's perfect. So all 4 of you please make sure that you have at least of 3 projects mentioned. In a project also, you have to add the title, you have to add the date in which you've created that particular project. You have to mention the tech stack. Use the keyword tech stack because it is going to improve your ATS scores also. Then write the tech stack you have used, add a link to GitHub, but then do not use the clickable icons. Use keyword link because we want the ATS system to pick out that link, and it can only pick out using the keyword. After that, you just have to mention 2 to 3 pointers, your bullet pointers. They are very crisp and clean to read for any ATS systems. After you have mentioned all of this, make sure that there are at least of 3. If more than 3, then there's nothing like that. Then the section which we are looking for is some prior work experience. Now, we know that a person coming directly from college might not have done something extensive, but at least 1 to 2 internships are something that we are looking forward to. Mention about those internships in details. Next up is, after mentioning all of this, it comes to the content that we were talking about earlier on. If we have got some good achievements and accolades, mention them. Some good, very good competitive programming profiles, then add a section called profiles, mention all of your portfolios and profiles in there. So this is how you have to tailor make a resume on overleaf.com by selecting a template suitable to your content. Post this is done, this CV or this resume is good to go when it comes to applying for a company directly from their website. Next up is the one which we are going to present to an interviewer. This resume, which we just talked about, is usually made in a linear format so that it becomes easy for the machine to read and extract out the information. The other resume can be a 2-column resume. You can try to add more aesthetics to it. You can make it look a little more aggressive, a little more, impressive in terms of adding more, pie charts, or if you want to add any good logos, if you want to add clickable links, you can make it look as attractive, as innovative as you want. That is not a bar. Also, it helped me tremendously. This is a very personal tip. Whenever you're applying to a company, tailor your resume as per that company. I used to tailor my colors as well. So while applying for MS, Morgan Stanley, what I did was I completely changed the color scheme to dark blue and gray. After that, when I was applying for Adobe, I completely changed the color scheme to red and gray and white. So that is how you modify it. It makes you look a little more welcoming towards the company you're interviewing for. So I'm going to take a quick 1 minute of, break wherein I want you all to just write down everything we just talked about. And if any quick questions in your mind, please feel free to put up.
Ma'am, just one question. If we are putting a resume on the company's website, let's say, if we are submitting it through the website, so that resume, should it be simple like a Word document or should it be a little more creative as a CSE student?
So Word document is a big no. Even if you're applying it online or if you're showing it to an interviewer, make sure that your resume is a PDF. But then you want it to be as simple as possible when you're making something to apply online, because the machine is going to iterate through that particular document, and it is going to extract out all the information. So you don't want to confuse the machine. Whenever the machine get confused, it just tend to skip out that one line. So if it skips one important line, it is going to be a big backlash for your resume to get a good score in a company's ATS system and to get up in the pipeline. So don't do that. Make it as simple as possible. You can put all the aesthetics, that whatever you want in the resume, which you're going to present to the interviewer instead. Do we have any other questions?
Ma'am, there is a question I have.
Yeah.
Ma'am, there are a few months left in placement drive. So,
Uh-huh.
uh, in case
Uh,
someone has done one
Ma'am, you are
internship,
not audible.
Am I audible now?
yeah, ma'am, you are.
Okay. Yeah, go on.
Ma'am, with some months left in placement, here drives. So, if someone has done one internship, so what's
Yeah.
more, better from a placement point of view, uh, applying for more internships right now, or just focusing on subjects like DSA and OS and system design, etc.?
Precisely, Manas. If I'll be very precise with this question. If you've got less than 3 to 4 months or close to 5 months left for your placements, think about only the subjects, the core preparatory data that you have to be very well, thorough gone off. Don't ever think of even applying for an internship right now, because then you'll have to at least spend 1 to 2 months working with them. You're going to waste a lot of time, big time. Don't do this mistake. Just try to prepare every single aspect of what all subjects you have done in last years, what all theory needs to be prepared when it comes to the interviews, etc. Just pay your time completely towards these kind of preparatory things. Do not waste your time in any sort of internships now. But then if you've got something more than 6 months left in your placements, then please go for an internship. A quick 1 to 2 months of internship in a good firm would really help.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, or should we just move on? All right, assuming that we are all clear until now. So this is the primary ABC or bread and butter of placement readiness, resume. Next thing which comes into picture is that we need to make sure that we have got a good digital presence going on. Everything has gone virtual post COVID. People are not hiring students after contacting colleges or after getting a good list of students from the colleges. Now how they hire is directly go to LinkedIn, have a look at all the profiles available on LinkedIn, and then just shortlist these students which are there. Out of those students, they are going to send emails or directly messages that, we want to hire you. We are looking for candidates for so and so job description. Are you willing to apply for this job role? And then the conversation starts. Other way that people are hiring these days is they are going to, let's say, if you have cold emailed a lot of companies, you have cold email companies from Postman directly to Google. Now, if a recruiter comes across your email in their inbox, they are going to Google out your name. Let's say we have Kriti, we have Tosip. So I'm going to Google your name and I'm going to see if Google has got at least 3 to 4 pages showing up, which is actually talking about you, your work, or something related to what you have done in the past. If you all just want to do this experiment real quick, just go type my name on Google, Priya Vajpayee. Spelling needs to be correct. After you do that, you will see a lot of links showing about myself. So this is how I have built a prominent digital presence. So you have to make sure you have got this too. Especially talking about the FANG companies, this is how we hire a lot of our workforce. We want people who are a little bit different from rest of the crowd. We don't want classic student. We are either looking for, I tell you, this is a harsh truth. I'm also from JIIT, not from any, IITs or premier institutes. If you're not from a premier institute, not from an IIT or, an NIT, the issue which persists is that we have to prove that we are something different from the crowd. And how can we prove it these days? We have to have a very eminent digital presence. Now let's talk about, quickly how to build this sort of a presence. A, first of all, like you put a lot of, I'm sure you give a lot of time to putting a very aesthetic profile on Instagram. You put a lot of time on maintaining a really good Facebook profile. Like you maintain these two profiles or a Twitter profile, please make sure you've got a very, very good LinkedIn profile, a solid LinkedIn profile. How to make that so? Please enter some good introduction about yourself. Do not copy paste your introduction from anywhere. Spend some time, write about yourself. Be it one line, be it 10 lines. Write a very strong introduction, an eye catchy one, which makes a person more intrigued to know about you. Next, put a very professional, the kind of photos that you use for placements, put a very professional picture. Have a very professional banner going on. Do not write any quotation on the banner. They are not much prevalent these days. Just write a very, generic thing on your, let's say, profile intro, or, writing a very generic thing in your banner makes it look a lesser kind of a interesting thing. I would definitely not click on the profile if I see some quote going on in the banner. I want someone to show about them. Let's say you've got some really good Microsoft badges. If you've got some really good Google badges, add those badges on your banners or write about yourself that let's say I'm a public speaker or something like that. After that, make sure that you have listed down all of your education, all of your prior work experience, all of your skills, everything on that one profile. Next, if you've got any publications, if you've got any patents going on, mention about those. You have to mention about all the awards and accolades whichever you have got. They have got section for everything. They have got section for links as well. So if you've done any course, add that course over there, mention the issue date, and then add the link to that certificate so that we click on the link, we go to the certificate directly. After we've done this, two sections which are very important is mention the achievements which you have got. All right. So post this, next thing that you can do is just get a lot of recommendations from people you have worked with prior to entering any corporate industry or any good firm that we are targeting. All that we need to make sure is whatever college projects we have done with our peers, whichever professors we have worked under, we have to make sure that we have got recommendations from all of them, right? So this is what we have to make sure that is good and featured on our LinkedIn profile. So I'm ready to endorse a lot of you students. All that you have to do is just come into my notifications, just endorse mine. I'll get the notification. I'll come and endorse yours. So please make sure that this is your first step to building a good digital presence. You have it ready. Third thing, and which is a very prominent thing these days, is creating portfolios. Now, people are not much inclined towards having resumes. They either create a good LinkedIn profile or a good portfolio. Portfolio is just a website, a domain on your name, a website on your name. I have got one on my name, priyavajpayee.com. Go to priyavajpayee.com, you'll get to know everything about me. Now, I'll be very honest, I'm working in Adobe, but in past 6 months, I've been contacted by close to 57 recruiters from FAN. I mean, 57 was such a huge number that even I got a bit boggled that why are they coming to me so much? In fact, if I talk about specifically Google, since somebody said, their dream company is Google, I have been contacted by Google at least 7 to 8 times, which is like insane in past 6 months. Not just from India, from Singapore, from Poland, many different countries. So the thing is that if you build a very good digital presence, then all these recruiters also have a network going on. If your profile is getting popped up, it will get popped up everywhere. I'm not willing to share my screen right now. If not, then I would have shown you. Today itself I've got SD to offer from Amazon. This is how you need to make sure that people are coming to you. If they are not coming to you, there is definitely something which is not making your profile pop up. So I hope this second point is very clear now about placement readiness, that we have to have a very eminent digital profile. If you've got any good questions going on, please ask them. This is the time right now.
Does CB matters?
All right, so I had not come on CP right now. That was going to be, my next to next topic. But let me come straight to the question that you have asked. CP matters. Completely depends on the role that you're applying for, the company that you're applying for. If your hiring manager is someone who has been very active on the competitive platform, then he will be looking forward to having a candidate which have got a really good CP background. If not, then that doesn't even matter. But which is completely out of our hands. We cannot decide what sort of a hiring manager we get. If you're someone who understands competitive programming, it is not a course, it's a sport completely. If you find your knack into it, if you enjoy it, go for it. Nothing like that. The kind of logic building that you learn in competitive programming, it is completely at par with what you will get by working on the projects, right? So it is really good to have. If not, if you're someone who's more inclined towards developing or building stuff, then completely leave that, but concentrate on having some really good projects which can make you come at par with the candidates who code as a part of some competitive programming platform. So this is what you have to make sure. Either of these two. You cannot completely leave both of them, otherwise you'll never get selected. Any other question?
Ma'am, is LinkedIn Premium worth it? Like, should we go for it? Should we buy it to get our names pop up?
So pretty your names do not just pop up if you have LinkedIn Premium. It anyways also pop up if you've got some good digital presence going on. If you post daily, if you comment on relevant and good post, if your activity section is good, if your features section have got some really good, accolades, let's say SIH winner or ACM ICPC regionalist, so something like that, some really good credentials or credibility holding stuff going on there. If not, once you're into the industry, if you've got some good amount of reimbursements coming from the company, please go ahead, purchase these. I'll be very honest, I never had LinkedIn Premium. I never would have invested in that also, which is again something expensive. Why would I invest in LinkedIn Premium when I can invest in Lead Code? So right, you have to, I can invest in plural site. Why would I go and invest in LinkedIn Premium? If you're a student, don't do that completely. Once you're into the company, like Adobe reimburses everything for us now. So I have taken it, Adobe reimbursed it. So until and unless you go into a company, do not purchase it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so I'm ready to take one last question.
Hello, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, Anand.
So, ma'am, just like
Yes.
you said, we need to do at least two internships before putting our resume out there. So, is it necessary to do internships in tech profiles, or we can do it on like business analyst or marketing or something like that?
You can absolutely do it in, business analyst or marketing. Because if I talk about myself, first internship which I had was, I think, in Bulpi. It was marketing intern. And then one of the last internships which I had was in HCL. It was BA intern, business analyst intern. But the thing is that you have to work on something which is tech oriented. Though the profiles were not tech, but the work I was doing was technical in both these domains. So it doesn't matter what title was given to you, because every hiring manager understands that if an intern is joining for a couple of months, not even a couple of months, just 1 or 2 months, it is not important to give them very prominent title. No company is going to take you seriously in the tenure of 1 to 2 months. But what matters is what was the problem which you were solving, how important that problem was, how innovatively you derived its solution. So if I talk about my problem at HCL, it was one of the most mind-blowing problems that I've ever worked on. And in both my interviews at Morgan Stanley, at in fact some of the interviews at Google, my interview at Adobe, all these interviews had a very vast discussion on what was the problem statement there at HCL. Because the problem which I was addressing was directly something which, Shivnadar sir was looking onto. I was reporting to VP. VP was reporting directly to Shivnadar sir. There was a lot of chaos going on, a lot of financial losses because their inventory was stuck up somewhere in the country. So, though I was a business analyst, I was solving this problem very technically using SQL. I was basically deriving their model
from Tableau into SQL, and I was trying to show them that where the inventory has got stuck and where they are facing a lot of issues, due to which they have to face so many financial losses. So this is how you make sure that whatever internship you do, it has to be mind blowing, no matter what the title is. But again, if you can get a good technical title, then nothing like that. Right. Anything else, Aaron or anybody?
No, thank you so much.
All right, that's perfect. So now
I
let's
had
talk
one
about
more
the
question.
third point. Yeah, sure, Harsh, go on.
Ma'am, is this ETL tools that you have mentioned like Tableau and Cognos, is this in demand
Yeah,
right now or not?
completely depends on the profile.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Now you are audible.
All right. If you're applying for companies or any role which are close to DA roles, data analysis roles, or for companies like ZS or EXL or the Big Four, EY, KPMG, PwC, and Deloitte, these companies look for a profile which have got some work experience going on in these tools. If not, if you're looking for a SD profile, then they don't matter much. Right. So I hope I'm clear as of now. If you've got any other question, please feel free to ask, because I feel this should be a two-way conversation always. I can deliver you the content right now. If not, also you can go to my profile and get a lot of content from there. But what is important is whether your doubts are cleared or not, because that is something which we don't get on a daily basis.
I just saw your LinkedIn profile, and you are
Yeah.
2020 graduate, and you are now SD2 in 2 years. So, can you tell us about how are you able to transition
Yes.
from SD1 to SD2 in such short span of time? That
So
usually
Lakshya,
takes.
I'll be very honest. I would have been SD. Yeah, go on.
No, you go on.
Okay, so Laksh, I'll be very honest. I would have been SD3 until now if I was working at Morgan Stanley. What I did was I spent first 6 months working at Morgan. Post Morgan, I got a offer clear from them that either I'm going to, I mean, they were trying everything to keep me there. They, in fact, offered me a post at MS London. But the issue was that I wanted to transition from a service based into a product based. So that time I loved Adobe and its culture. I joined in. After joining in Adobe, now there is something which we call as responsibility, taking initiatives. Why I got promoted and why not my peers was that everybody else was busy doing the work assigned to them, whereas I was more inclined towards finding issues. I was more inclined towards finding more problem statements that we can work on. I used to think from the managerial point of view rather the employee point of view. So I always used to sit with my manager. I would think that these are the things which we can prioritize, we can address. So this is how they differentiated. If this person is willing to take more initiatives, if this person is thinking extra as compared to all the peers are just doing, they give tasks to them in the morning, they deliver the task in the evening, but this person is sitting with us also, thinking about the strategic decisions that we need to take, what action items do we prioritize next, then this is how you show and set yourself very credible in their eyes, that this person can be trusted upon and we can promote them. And this is not just the way to transition from SD1 to SD2. You can transition to SD3. You can skip the levels also. So this is not very well known to the students, but yes, I can also get promoted from SD1 to SD3 directly. Completely depends what kind of work you deliver for a company. Even in Morgan Stanley, if I talk about, they were giving this problem to the interns from past 3 years. When I joined in, they gave me this problem and they told me if you can solve it, nothing like that, because they kind of horrified me that we have given this to three, different interns which joined us over last 3 years and none of them was able to do it ever. So I got a bit petrified. The issue was that They were generating, so Morgan Stanley is an investment bank, right? They have lots of databases. To generate a single report from all the databases of all the data centers, it used to take at least 38 minutes. After I designed the solution, I migrated their databases from RDBMS to GraphQL. After my migration, the same report used to get constructed in less than 30 to 40 seconds. So this is how tremendous the improvement was for them, and they were so impressed that they were ready to retain me at any cost. So this would be your key to go forward. Always think out of the box. Always try to deliver extra. आप उतना करोगे जितना आपसे कहा गया है, you will never get promoted. Always think from the managerial point of view, what extra I can give to my company. If you also go and check my profile, आप featured section को scroll करो, you'll get to see, apart from my day-to-day work, there is a lot that I've been into. So this is how you get, a good highlight in the eyes of your leadership. Now, my director, until my director level, everybody knows me. So this is how you do it. It's very easy. It's just that you need to be willing in order to get everything in your hands.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Right. Anybody else? Any other question for yourself? All right, I think we can move ahead. So now, as important as building a resume and a digital profile is, third thing which is very prominent is, how well are you able to articulate your ideas, and how well are you able to communicate, both in written as well as verbal. These things were not of much importance when people used to come hire students directly from the colleges. They would interview a student, every aesthetic, every verbal as well as non-verbal gesture would get transferred, and that was very positive overall. But now the issue is that if you do not know how to write nicely, how to jot down things nicely, and if a virtual interview is going on, they will not hire you, because the issue is that now even we are not working in offices, we are also working online. The issue is that day in, day out, we have to be in meetings and we have to translate everything, whatever we are thinking, to the other person over either emails or either virtually over a meeting. So here it is very important that everything is being transferred, cascaded in a very crystal clear manner. So we are only looking for candidates who are very well versed with good business vocabulary and they are able to communicate well. This is a kind of gap which I see in a lot of new folks joining in. They are very intelligent, they are very competent, but when it comes to the language, they have got a little bit informalish language. So if you've got informal language, please make sure that you don't apply for these big MNCs. They have got some really cream class folks going on there, and it would be an issue. Now, I'm not talking about any vernacular issues over here. Let me make it clear. If you're coming from some other accent, if you're coming from, let's say, if you're a South Indian student, then that is not a bar. Your accent, your ability to speak is not an issue. But the issue is that if you have studied in an English medium school and if still you're not able to write an email properly, then it would come as a problem to you later on, because you have to jot down emails day in and day out. And it becomes very unprofessional for us to tell any new candidate that hey, this is not right, you have to draft it in so and so manner. We can tell them how to set up a SSH key, let's say, which is the most basic things, but we cannot tell them how to write an email or a letter. This is the bare minimum which we expect. So this is the third most important aspect of placement readiness. Fourth aspect of placement readiness is that make sure that you're good with data structures and algorithms. I cannot lay more emphasis on this. People have started doing a lot of CP these days. They have started doing a lot of open source development. They take part in Hacktoberfest. They take part in Google Code Jam, etc., etc. But the problem is that elementary knowledge, the fundamental knowledge of the subjects which we have read in first and second year, is lost. If that is lost, forget getting into a company like Adobe. I'm giving an example of Adobe because this is where I work in right now. I had 5 rounds of interviews, and I tell you, they literally scratched out every piece of information from me of what I had read in the last 4 years. They talk about operations, every single thing, how it's, working, what was the logic behind the development of a particular algorithm, why was it applied, right down to the efficacy of your solution. They ask us on networks, they ask us on operating systems, they ask us on DBMS, every single thing crisp, directly pertaining to the problem. You'll be asked a single problem for which you'll have to write a code also, you'll have to have a touch of OS also, you'll have to design a DB for that also. These things are very much prevalent. So be ready for such questions. Don't assume that you will get 3 different rounds. One will be OS round, one will be DBMS round. These things are, these days are gone. Now it's just one problem and you need to apply every single thing in that. So I hope you're very well, versed with it beforehand. The platforms which you can use for such questions are LeetCode, Geek for Geeks. They have got some really good examples going on. So any questions on this? I'm sure you must be having some questions. If not, then we're not far off from even practicing these. So it is your time to start practicing such sort of holistic questions right now. If you have any questions, please feel free to, interrupt me and ask them right now. All right, so I'm assuming that we are clear on that part. Moving on. The next type of questions that I want you all to be aware of and to be ready for is questions which you're coming across in your day to day life. A very basic example, how does the blue tick on WhatsApp work? This is a very basic question, but I dare most of you will not know the answer to it. And this is the question which is very widely asked. So please be prepared for such questions. Also, do not miss out on preparing puzzles. Every single interview round had a puzzle in it. They ask puzzles to check whether the candidate is capable enough to break the problem into smaller sub problems and get an answer out of it. So puzzles have become very prominent. People do prepare for DSA, they forget preparing for puzzles and they face it in the interviews. So do not commit the same mistake. It is the next step. Now, A, we are ready. We are done creating 2 resumes for us. B, we are ready doing our LinkedIn profile. C, we are ready building a good digital presence. D, we are ready, preparing everything that we had. What comes next? Next is now how you apply. How to apply? A, start getting connected to all the recruiters on LinkedIn. Only send requests to people who are working as hiring managers in big company and who hires specifically the college graduates. So these people are known as, campus talent scouts or campus talent partners, campus recruiters. Simply search for these terms with your company name. You will get to see such people. Connect with them. Get their email IDs, draft a good cover letter, add your resume, and start cold emailing them. This is how you get opportunities. Keep an open eye on all the hiring contests in each of these companies. They get to do a lot of hiring contests, it's just that we don't get to know about it. So there are some very good websites such as Dare to Compete. Be very active on Dare to Compete. You will get to know about such hiring contests going on. HackerRank, HackerEarth are 2 other profiles or platforms wherein you can get to know about such hiring contests going on. So this is how you have to make sure that you're also very proactive while applying. So I think this is all which I structure under one jar and I put it inside one place to call it placement readiness. And I want all of you to start preparing for it right away. Not after, 6 months or 4 months down the line when the companies have started coming. Otherwise, you will be left with, some very basic companies which come end of the season. Because the entire process of doing all these things is going to take you at least 4 to 5 months. So you need to know it right now. You have to start preparing right away. It will take you some good amount of time, but once that is done, you will be one of the finest candidates to appear for companies and to make through it. So now this is my time. We are 125 right now. I want you all to put up all the questions that you have for next 15 minutes. We are going to have a quick Q&A. If we do not have more questions, then we are ready to wind up the session.
Ma'am, I just saw your LinkedIn profile and I want to know how you manage your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, how I manage my LinkedIn profile. Could you break your question to a bit more granular level? Like, what exactly do you want to ask about in my LinkedIn profile itself? Like, what do you want to know? Manage what exactly? All right, who put up that question? Guys, am I audible or I'm not sure if the person is able to hear me or not. Can
Yes, ma'am.
anybody
Yes,
else?
ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. Just a continuation to that question, that
Okay.
how do you make engagement on LinkedIn? Like, we are just a student, right? We do not have anything new to write on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So how can we engage and post on LinkedIn and network better?
That's a brilliant question. Yes, I got your question, and that is a very brilliant one to ask because it has taken me also close to 1 year to get very well known to how to build up engagement on LinkedIn. I did not quite understand the first question, manage what exactly on my profile, but I would try to answer it the best I can. A, be very honest there, be crystal clear. Whatever you have achieved till date, write it all down. Then network properly and only build meaningful networks. Do not connect with a lot of strangers. Only connect with the people who have personally reached out to you. Now, how to build engagement? Lakshya, the best way to do it while you're students, like I know students, Nilankan Betal, I can name them also. They are nowhere connected to me, but the point is that I see their comments coming on each of my posts. Just like me, there are a lot of folks working in industry, working in different companies. They go and comment very positively, they support, they react, they very interactively talk to us on our comments. And if I post something, they come and they talk. Now, let me just give you a very good example also, Laksh. There was this guy called Paritosh. So the point was that he used to always comment down on each of my, I think, posts around 6, 7 months back. Then what happened? One day he came back asking for a referral. I knew that person and I gave him a referral directly. So this is how you build a good network with them. Now, if you want to build yourself into a good content creator, then what you need to do is always pull out the things that your audience wants to know. Like my audience, my target audience is I want to make students very well aware of what they need to prepare. I want them to be good and ready with self-help techniques. So this is what I started writing my post on. And they got some tremendous reaches. But obviously, this process is really long and it takes a lot of time. Initially, what the best a student can do is to build network with people who are working in good companies and what you aspire to become later on. Comment down on their posts, just talk to them, just put in mails to them. Obviously, you will not get reply back on in mails, but you will definitely get a comment back in the comment section. So this is your best way through it.
Thanks. That's totally great insight. Thank you.
Yes, because I'll be honest, like these students have come to me later on and I've given them a lot of referrals, and not just me, a lot of my creator friends also. People are working. So let's say I know Kaustav Sarkar, he's in Google. I know Dipanshu, he's in Google. He's, I think, data engineer 2 or 3 in Google. So these folks, they come to me and we talk about these young folks coming in and we give them referral very openly because we personally have known them through this channel. So please build this sort of important network also, who can come to be of your benefit whenever you are in need. All right. So any other questions?
Ma'am, you talked about
referrals and cold emails, but doesn't everyone do that now? Like, hasn't that become a general standard because everyone knows and does it? So, how would it be different? Because if some HR is receiving hundreds of cold emails every day, how are we going to stand out in them? Like, it would
Yeah.
won't that become equivalent to applying on a general portal only?
Absolutely no. Absolutely no. So if they are getting hundreds of cold emails, then they are getting thousands of applications online. And the issue with online applications is that once you apply for any job role on a careers portal, your resume pre-fills a form. Whether or not it is filled properly is shown in some of the companies, in some of the companies it is not even shown. Once that is filled, now you don't know if it is filled correctly or incorrectly. On the basis of that information filled in the form, it gets a score. And if the score is not good, then in the queue, it is going to get the last position. So let's say I had thousands input, thousand got ranked, my resume got a rank of 700. And if I have just 4 to 5 vacancies, they will get filled down while interviewing the first 200 pool only. I will never even get a call back, which is why most of the people never even get a call back from any of the companies when they apply online. Next, if you cold email, first of all, yes, everybody knows about it, but no, everybody is not doing it because it takes a lot of effort. You have to draft a good cover letter, you have to draft a good resume and a very catchy subject line. Plus, getting the right recruiter's email is also a task. So, everybody knows about this technique, but they do not follow it. So, we really reduce the pool down to, let's say, 100 applications, which is also at max for any recruiter per day. Out of those 100 also, they at least go through all the subject lines, and if your subject is good and eye catchy for them, they are definitely going to click on it and get back to you. Without doing it, you're reducing your own chances of getting selected into a company. This is something which you anyways have to do. You cannot just put hands on hand and wait for a company to come to you or to approach you directly or indirectly. It is our responsibility also to try the best that we can to get to be a part of that company.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Right. So let's never compare the two. I mean, I can assure you this thing 100% that applying via cold emails and applying via referrals have got a upper hand over applying directly on the careers portal. So now we are ready for the next question if we have any. All right, so I hope that we are all clear on the placement readiness bit, and I'd like to wish all of you a very, very best of luck. Be prepared for your placements, and I hope that you get a job in your dream companies. And that was it from my end. I'll still be up for any questions. If you don't want to discuss it in front of a forum, then please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to answer your questions over there. Thank you all. Have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much.